Welcome to Pinball Mayhem. Time for an update on the Konami cabinet. And I'm dressed in my grubby clothes. I'm going to be doing woodworking today. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video. But what I want to cover today is control panel about the three main titles of these Konami 4-players that people look at. And the 4-player titles are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Simpsons, and X-Men. So those are the three most popular, I would say, 4-player Konami titles, and there is differences between each one. And because of my research into this, I'm not an expert, but I've ran across enough information where I'd like to relay it to you guys in a video. So this cabinet, just to start my baseline, this cabinet was originally an X-Men, and this control panel box has been cut down. So the X-Men cabinet is different from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because it has, so the X-Men and Simpsons cabinet and control panel box are exactly the same. They have two speakers down above the monitor. It's wired for stereo. And so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has one speaker in the center. That's the first thing. Of course, look for the two over-under coin doors with 2 slots each. Now the other thing is this here is a little bit cut back. So the control panel sits a little further back into the cabinet, and this is a little bit narrower. So if you have an original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cabinet, some people have mentioned putting the Simpsons side art, you're going to cut Maggie's head off, something like that. So keep that in mind. If you have an original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cabinet and you want to put all 3 games there, you might want to consider the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles art on the side. Otherwise, you may have to do some manipulation to get things to line up. So that's a little narrower. Now, this box here has been cut down. This is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles box. It has been made narrower. Someone had taken the effort to remove an inch and a half off of each side, which is pretty sad, by cutting it and moving it over. I did not realize this right away. I did not know what I know now. This control panel box I had recently picked up at an arcade swap meet. This is actually a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles box. I didn't realize this until I got home, that even though the cabinets are slightly different, I thought the boxes were all the same. But I didn't realize that they actually slid the control panel in. So if you look at the distance here and the distance here, it is different. So when I put this control panel box in place, we can see the center bolt hole lines up with the captive bolt in the front. And the back 2 bolts line up, but you see how much narrower it is. Also, this one has the support screws and the really nice rabbited. So in the front you see a full board, and this is rabbited for strength. And the bottom piece is just, it's rabbited onto the sides, but the front and the back it just slides in on. But this one, it's just butted in. It's a different texture. It's a pretty crappy looking wood on the front, and there's no support beam. So I can, yeah, this has definitely been modified narrow. So I kind of, and also this one has had about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes drilled in the bottom. So now I got to repair those holes, which is doable. I got to add on. So what I'm going to do, because I got the hardware I need, I got the hinge on this one, I got the outside on that, I'm actually going to knock this bottom out and make a new one. It's just a square cut piece of wood, no rabbits on it, no nothing. The rabbits are on the side. I may damage the sides removing it, so I'll have to do repair. There's some corner repair that needs to be done here and there. Not too bad. I'm going to put a new bottom in this, but before I do, I'm going to use this as my pattern. So I'm going to match this cutout on the bottom perfectly, mark the hole and drill it out. And just so that you can see, when I put this in place, how the difference that hole is not lining up. I need that extra space. I could work with this, but I might as well just make a new bottom and be done with it. I'll be happy with it. So this is the control panel box, but just to show you that all the other dimensions on this box, other than that bottom board, is the same, I'm going to take, this is the original X-Men panel that came with this one. The sides are cut down. But depth-wise, it's going to line right up. And actually it would be spaced out a little bit because of the T-molding, but depth-wise, width-wise, it will line right up. And this is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles panel I bought with this base. And that's going to line up as well. Same way, so it's going to work. So I'll be able to use this cabinet with these panels. Now, let's talk a little bit about the control panels. And I have seen, and controls, I have seen a lot of confusion out there, a lot about what control panels, how they're supposed to be laid out. Not specifically the button layout, because X-Men has 3 buttons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Simpsons have 2. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Simpson panels, the CNC program is identical between those 2 panels. X-Men is a little different, actually has 2 differences that people don't take into account. Of course, the one obvious difference is 3 buttons. You have 3 buttons per joystick, and if I take this X-Men and put it right on top of, now this is an original X-Men right on top of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So let it be known, these 2 line up, and even though the joystick holes seem to be a different diameter, the joystick locations line up perfectly. But I can tell you, none of the buttons line up. None of them do. Well, maybe this one right here, but that's about it. So I would not count on any of the buttons lining up, but this joystick's pretty much, from what I'm seeing, all 4 joystick locations line up. The joystick orientations are different though. So this is a joystick plate, and X-Men, the joystick orientations are all horizontal. On Turtles and Simpsons, they're horizontal, the outside 2, but the middle 2 players are vertically orientated. Something to keep in mind. And you know, hopefully maybe some guys who do these CNCs can see this video, and this will help them lay it out, having them right next to each other. The other thing that's confusing, whenever I see a picture of the CNC base bottom, it looks like it's a more square joystick on the horizontal than it is vertical. But I can tell you by putting this base out of a WICO leaf spring, which I cleaned about a week ago in my ultrasonic, I can tell you all the holes line up wherever I go. So it is the same base, it is the same bolt pattern. Pretty sure of that. Now, another thing to keep in mind, another difference on these, is even though the holes are the same, they are slightly bigger on the X-Men than the Turtles, and there's a reason for that. And I might just pop away and grab a measuring tape to give you some measurements at the end of the video. Is the inset. If you notice on the original X-Men, they're flush, and on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's insetted. I believe it's about 0.4 an inch, according to some of the CNC plans I have seen. Reason for that is this is a X-Men, original X-Men joystick, and this is an original Simpsons joystick. Simpsons is a, well, originally some Simpsons were a leaf spring, some Simpsons were a WICO Microswitch, but they both were the WICO rubber grommeted bases. And the X-Men is a 4-inch shaft, so it's going to stick through the control panel about the same as you would have on a Simpsons Turtles, because that's a 3.5-inch shaft. And so this would be dropped down because of the cutout, and so it would require a smaller hole, but also it would be a stick out about the same. Now I believe Turtles could be, you could build a Turtles control panel with either leaf springs or the Microswitch, but I know X-Men was a 4-inch shaft with a Microswitch. That's, you know, I haven't seen too many people argue that. I've just known that, like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Simpsons, Simpsons I know came in both. I'm not 100% sure what Turtles came in. I thought Turtles came before Simpsons timeline-wise, but I'm going to build whatever I end up with 4 with. I like to have 1 spare of everything. So if I'm going to do Simpsons with the leaf springs, which I already have that collected, I'm going to have 1 spare for that. I want to have 1 Microswitch base For the X-Men, I have 4 joysticks. I'm just looking for that base, but then I got to figure out what I'm going to do for that for the Turtles control panel, because I want to build one of each. So that's about the joysticks. They were WICO ball top, not the half style cheaper ones. I just think a control panel based on an arcade game or on a cartoon should have the ball top, the classic. If a kid was going to draw a joystick for an arcade game, they draw the shaft with the ball on top. That's what should be in these, especially because the little instruction diagram here does show a ball top of the 8-way, and they were all 8-way setup. So the other interesting, so yeah, the inset and the flat. Now, I see that flat inset. Now, if you do build an X-Men with a 3.5-inch joystick, you'll have to have this routed in. But the thing that I find really confusing is this is I purchased it at the swap meet. Somebody had dropped it and smashed a corner and smashed the plexi. This is for X-Men because it has 3 holes, but it's inset. But it's not inset the same depth there. So it's kind of like there is a big confusion over, do you have to inset the bottom of your joysticks? And that's why I've seen a couple popular resellers selling the control panel wood for X-Men with the insets. And to me, knowing that this is an original X-Men, you can see the original overlay on here that's been routed for Golden Tee, knowing that it has to be flush, there's no signs of this being filled, that kind of bothers me a little bit. But one thing let's do, put this on top, because I have a feeling the other thing is some of these holes don't line up. Okay, those I only have 1 hole line up as well. But if I let's take the turtles off. The other thing with this is the holes are off. And I'm going to have to use this because this is what I bought. But let's look. The hole sizes are the right diameter. These are off by maybe an 1/8 inch, and you'll have that from time to time. These 2 are off by 1/4 inch, and these 2 here are off by 1/2 inch each. So I'm looking at the arrows. It's gonna be up and to the right, up. So yeah, it's gonna actually cut into the arrow. So I may have to shift my control panel overlay over a little bit. Hopefully I have enough room with it to make things line up. Luckily the joysticks aren't marked. It's just getting those arrows. I'm gonna have to shift it to the right. So I don't think this one was, I think this was done just by an individual trying to do it on their own. There's no map you can download for X-Men. The other thing to point out is the orientation of the joysticks on this. This is obviously, the holes are smaller too. This is obviously somebody took the Teen Mutant Ninja Turtles and put in the buttons. So not having an original, getting the 2 orientations wrong. Let me find my base. Keep setting things down. Okay. Let's see if these line up. So this is horizontal. This is vertical. That lines up. That lines up vertical. This is horizontal. So yeah, this is obviously someone took the Teen Mutant Ninja Turtles or Simpsons layout that you can download in the programs, and they changed up the buttons for 3. Probably had to measure off the pictures. It's going to work for my cases. I'll eventually get a right one made, and the cost for me is going to be a new control panel overlay and a piece of wood. When I do finally get my friend with the CNC back up and running, right now he's down, and if I want to keep moving forward on this, I'm just going to keep moving forward with what I got. But just to let you know, there is those differences between the bases, and so be careful with what you want, depending on how true of a restoration or a representation you are going for. Now, if you're going to use 3.5-inch joysticks in X-Men, great, you need them inset and the smaller diameter hole, but you're going to need a larger diameter hole. So for having it lower. And tell you what, I'm going to just run over there. I'm going to grab. I had a measuring tape. I thought I had it handy here. I'm going to grab a quick measuring tape, give you guys some quick measurements of the differences between the boxes and the hole diameters, and then we'll end the video. Oh, found the measuring tape. It's over by the cabinet. All right. Sorry about that. All right, so the original X-Men is 1 1/4 hole, and our holes for buttons are 1 1/8. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the joystick hole is 1 1/8, which would make sense. I mean, I would, whenever I make a control panel, I like to use the same drill bit for everything. This reproduction is 1 1/8. So X-Men, so if you do go flush mount with no cut, you need a 1 1/4 hole. Now let's look at, carefully, and the difference. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this, not counting the backboard. My mic keeps flipping around. So how much is that notch on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? It looks like just under 4.5. If you went 4.5, you'd be fine. Could be just a 6. Nope. If I slide down, it's 4.5. So it's 4.5, not counting the back 3/4 inch board. So if I measure from the groove all the way to the outside of the cabinet, I get 5 1/4 on the Turtles. On the X-Men, I am going to measure 2.5. So that's 2.5, maybe a 1/16 more, and I got 3 1/4, maybe a 1/16 more, somewhere in the middle there. It's kind of hard to measure with the curve here and moving the tape measure back, but give you some ideas. Make sure you check your plans, check those measurements, and don't get some stuff CNC cut or cut them out based on those patterns if you have to make one of these new and end up with something that's either going to be too narrow for your cabinet or not deep enough. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully in the next video I have the rest of the wood in, and I'm working on the bondoing and the sanding, and hopefully I can show you a glued together box here if I don't destroy this one when I take it apart. But if I do, I got glue and clamps and I got the skills, I can fix it. So thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next Konami update.